Welcome to 5 Minute Chapters, the podcast where we summarize important writings on education and learning. I'm your host, Daniel Bowe, and in today's episode, we'll be discussing how to implement the techniques from Chapter 20, How to Evaluate for Student Learning, from Harry Wong's Implementation Guide for the First Days of School. In this chapter, Harry Wong emphasizes the importance of aligning lesson objectives and tests to ensure that every test question corresponds to an objective. By writing these two components concurrently, teachers can effectively evaluate student learning. Let's dive into the details and explore how you can implement these techniques in your classroom. The first step in implementing this technique is to clearly define your lesson objectives. These objectives tell students what they will learn, what will be taught, and how they will be tested. Remember, objectives and tests must be written together before the unit or lesson begins. They go hand in hand. Next, let's talk about the role of objectives in shaping your test questions. Objectives should govern what questions are written and how many are needed for a test. Every test question should align with a specific lesson objective. This ensures that your assessment accurately measures students' accomplishment of the objectives. Now, let's explore the characteristics of effective testing and grading. As an effective teacher, it's crucial to test and correct as often as necessary, providing every student with the opportunity to succeed. Remember, teachers don't give grades, students earn them. Grades should be based on percentage mastery, not on a curve. This approach promotes a fair and accurate representation of students' learning. To implement this technique successfully, Harry Wong suggests following a backward design approach. Start by identifying the desired results, then determine how students will be evaluated, and finally, decide on the instructional strategies to be used. By aligning your evaluation methods with the desired results, you create a cohesive and purposeful learning experience for your students. Let's engage in some discussion questions and activities to deepen our understanding of this technique. Reflect on how to implement the statement from page 260 of Wong's book. Teaching and testing are inseparable. Teachers shouldn't test what they didn't teach, and teachers shouldn't teach what they won't test. Consider flawed reasons for giving tests and discuss the importance of grades to students' learning and achievement in the comments. Another crucial aspect is determining mastery. Define what mastery means in your context and explore ways to measure it effectively. Discuss the disadvantages of writing only one test question for an objective and brainstorm strategies to alleviate students' fear during assessments. Now let's shift our focus to the role of the teacher in testing. Compare the responses of an ineffective teacher and an effective teacher when a student misses a question on a test. Explore the corrective activities that should be assigned to help students achieve mastery, and critically analyze the statement on page 267. Grading and reporting should always be done in reference to learning objectives, never on a curve. How does this sway your beliefs on grading? Make a comment. To further reinforce the connection between objectives and test questions, engage in an activity. Find some colleagues, then share a future lesson and its objectives, and collaborate to create questions aligned with those objectives. Reflect on the strengths and weaknesses of the objectives and questions to ensure effective measurement of student achievement. We could delve into discussions about giving zeros on tests or assignments and explore alternatives to this approach. I'm actually a fan of Marzano's methods for converting SPGs to traditional scores and have been using that method for over 10 years. Additionally, we can explore how individual tutoring and individualized instruction can raise student achievement as suggested by Benjamin Bloom. That wraps up our discussion on implementing the techniques from Chapter 20 of Harry Wong's Implementation Guide for the First Days of School. Remember to write lesson objectives and tests concurrently to ensure alignment and accurately evaluate student learning. Join us next time on 5 Minute Chapters for another episode of Chapter 21 of Wong. I'm Daniel Bowe, and this has been 5 Minute Chapters, because even teachers need Cliff's Notes sometimes.